Hello everybody and welcome to another amazing video of DIY investing. For today's video, we're going to be talking about the recent CPI data that was released today. It's causing the entire market to bottom and break out. This is something we talked about in my last video. And so for today, we're going to be covering about what this means for the short-term price action of Bitcoin, what it means going forward as we rally upwards of my target of 27,000. Then we're going to be finishing up this video by giving you guys 5 of the top Arbitrum altcoins to play over the course of this next 3-year bull run. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and with that being said, let's jump right into this amazing video today. Alrighty guys, now here we are to start off today's video by talking about some of the recent price action that we had. Now in my last video, what we talked about was the potential that the correction was over, and I talked about that for a couple different reasons. Now what we were mainly watching for really for the last couple months at this point has been whether we were going to see a correction that brought us back down to around 21,500 or whether we were just going to continue to go up inside of this cycle upwards of 27. Now I talked about that I was expecting that we would see some type of a pullback, and to use that pullback as an opportunity to get back into new positions, add to prior positions, and simply look to enter if you weren't somebody that was buying all the way back down in here. So as it stands, we've seen the correction that we were looking for. Now what we were talking about was that we were inside of this big picture wave 4 correction. And inside of a wave 4, generally they're not that big. What we're going to see inside of a wave 4 is one of the shorter corrections based off of Elliott wave theory. And this is what sets the stage for our final move to come, which in my opinion, will take us upwards of about $27,000. I'm not expecting that we're going to rally all the way up to 30K. That was initially what I was drawing when we were all the way back down in here, first impulsing upwards of, $21,000. And so as it stands, the way that the Elliott wave count looks to me, the way that the market structure looks, I would think that I'm leaning a lot more towards us actually going sub 30,000, simply just us clearing above the range highs over here that we saw here in August. And once we clear above the range highs, I think a lot of people are going to get really excited. A lot of people are going to be calling that the bear market is over. And this is kind of their true, confirmation in their trading plans as well. Once we get above the August high, at that point, I'm going to be full-blown bull. I'm going to be starting to buy. And then at that point, that's obviously where we're going to expect to see a correction ensue. And so even though it is a very bullish thing for us to clear above the August highs, based off the Elliott wave count, we only have one more impulse to come. So it's not like we're just going to skyrocket past these things and instantly go to all-time highs like a lot of people will instantly assume. I think a lot of people, and something we talked about, was this idea that we're going to get another 2019 type of run, similar to when Bitcoin went from 3.2 thousand all the way to 14,000. And a lot of people were drawing that we're going to go all the way up to about 35 and 40 to even $50,000. I do believe that that will happen, but it's going to take a longer period of time. And I do believe that the market structure is telling us that right now. We're going to get one more impulse upwards of 27K, and then that will start a deeper correction back down. Most likely we'll come all the way back down to around 19.5 to around 20,000. I'd say anywhere from 19.5 to about 21,500. That's where I'm going to be personally targeting for the correction to be over. And so keep in mind, guys, that if you're buying inside of this dip, during this next leg up, I think that the best thing that we can do is take profits if you're in profit and look to accumulate the deeper correction that will follow. Because during a deeper correction, a lot of altcoins are going to retrace a lot harder than most people are anticipating. It's just the way it works every single cycle. And if we go through a period of lengthy consolidation where we come all the way back down to this 19.5 level, we might bounce back up, we might come back down and do something like this as we reaccumulate, heading into basically, late summer, potentially even the end of the year. I'm not 100% certain on how the market structure is going to look, but what I am very confident in saying is that we will go through a long period of reaccumulation. And during the reaccumulation is generally where you want to have a stack of cash, whether it's stables or whether it's sitting in your bank. I recommend using just stable coins if you're planning on trading back in and out of the market. But that's where you're going to want to have some sort of exposure to be able to buy back into the market, because a lot of altcoins are going to correct. A lot of them are going to make these big impulses like they already have. And during that corrective phase is where we want to be able to be reaccumulating anything that we made profit off of. Either take your profit and look to add into more stable positions, or look to even buy the same positions that you made profit off of when that dip comes. And so I just want you guys to be aware. We're going to be talking about this a lot because I think it's very important to know when to time in and out of the market. And I do believe that we only have one more impulse coming. And so during this time, altcoins should outperform Bitcoin. A lot of altcoins will finish off their blow off tops, local tops, keep in mind. And after that, as long as you've got some profit that you've taken, even if you're not locking up all of your profit, sometimes the best scenario is just to sell a little bit of the portfolio, maybe sell half of it, maybe leave a quarter of it in there just to ride for the long term. Take the majority of that position and then look to continue to dollar cost average during the dip, because that will happen in my opinion. I'm very confident in saying that we will see a deeper correction follow after we clear the range highs around 25, 26, and even rallying upwards of 27,000. So guys, what we're seeing here inside of the short-term market, the reason why we're seeing Bitcoin bouncing, the reason why we're seeing altcoins bouncing is because we have the Consumer Price Index report. During this report, basically the way it works is anything under 6.5% is going to show a lot more bullish action inside of the markets, and we actually got a confirmation of that being 6.4%. As the Federal Reserve has worked to get a hand on this inflation issue, we've actually ended up seeing the inflation continuing to go down. Even though inflation is rising as a whole, they've managed to get a handle on things, and so we're seeing lower and lower inflation numbers. Talking about the first of this, well, technically it was last year in 2022. Inside of 2022, we were looking at, inflation near 10%. So for them to slowly get a handle on this, to see inflation starting to cool month over month, it's a bullish thing for the markets. Even though inflation as a whole is up, the inflation has continued to see a downtrend and a decrease since 2022. So that's really why we're seeing the whole market bouncing, why we're seeing us going into what I believe is our next major low. And if we come in here to the shorter time frames, you'll kind of see what I'm talking about. So far, what we talked about in my last video was that most likely we are at the bottom of this correction, and even if we do see one more lower low, now is the time to be getting into positions. This is a pretty deep correction, and even if we did see one more drop, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. That there's no reason to basically just stop buying altogether, not being willing to enter new positions or reaccumulate old positions just by the potential of one more drop. The fact is, guys, we weren't able to actually break below support. When we held support and started bouncing, that was an indication to me anyways that the market was most likely going to be bottoming here. And now Bitcoin has actually flipped some of these prior resistance levels as support, and it's looking like we're going to most likely see continuation upwards of about $22,500. So with that being said, now guys, let's talk about what I believe are going to be the top 5 altcoins built on Arbitrum's network. These are 5 altcoins that are so far leading the charge for Arbitrum. These are altcoins that are built strictly on Arbitrum, and with Arbitrum being the spotlight and the focal point of DeFi over this next cycle, I think now is a very important time more than ever to focus in on these, watch these if you plan to get accumulation, and watch them take off over the next couple years. Now, first up on the list is going to be the most obvious one. It's the one that I've been really pounding home for you guys, trying to get as many people in on this trend before it happens, and that is GMX. GMX is a decentralized exchange. It allows futures trading in a decentralized way. With all of the major exchanges going bankrupt, lenders going bankrupt, all of these being centralized exchanges between Celsius, between FTX, between a number of these different lenders that went bankrupt, and even Terra Luna as a whole went bankrupt. With all of these lenders and exchanges going bankrupt, it was a very volatile time, and so many people have chose to actually find decentralized alternatives and move away from the centralized authority, which has always been a really big thing that I've wanted inside of the market. Talking about decentralized exchanges, I was watching this trend all the way back in 2016. One of the first altcoins I ever bought was BitShares, and BitShares was created by the same guy who created EOS. Now obviously both of those have never seen any major adoption, but the problem so far up to this point has been the fact that decentralized exchanges have had really just a lot of issues with liquidity. On top of liquidity, they've had issues with building on top of Ethereum, being Ethereum gets congested, Ethereum has high fees, and that's why we've actually seen that the majority of these decentralized protocols are being built on top of layer 2 solutions. We've seen Optimism as a layer 2 that's done really well, but Arbitrum as a whole has actually been the focal point of all of these decentralized exchanges being built. And GMX is the biggest one on Arbitrum. And so if you're looking for more of, the staple of decentralized exchanges on Arbitrum, I don't think that you should look any further than GMX. This one's going to be the safest one over this cycle. because of the way that they have built their earning mechanism, basically the way that they earn fees by staking GMX, you're able to either provide to their liquidity pools and earn a higher yield, or you're able to just simply stake GMX like I'm doing, and you're able to actually earn rewards paid out in Ethereum. Now, this is something that's very, very lucrative. A lot of people inside of the staking world have always just staked an asset and then they earn that same native asset that they're staking, whereas what GMX did was they actually allowed you to earn fees paid out inside of Ethereum. Everybody's bullish on Ethereum, even though it's got its downsides. I firmly believe Ethereum is going to be one of the bigger cryptos to continue to do its thing over the course of the next 5 to 10 years. And throughout that period, if you're able to stake GMX and you're able to earn Ethereum rewards, I think that that's a very big buy proposition for the reason why so many people are staking GMX. Now, as it stands, what we've been talking about over the last few videos has been the fact that GMX itself has retested the previous all-time highs. Now, anytime a market goes into price discovery meaning that it makes a new all-time high, anytime you see a market make a new all-time high, correct back down to retest those previous highs as support, that is a very big buy signal. And I was trying to help you guys to see that over the last few videos, talking about if you don't have exposure or if you were waiting to buy GMX, the time to buy GMX is during this move. And so far, we have instantly seen GMX break out. It technically made a new all-time high earlier today, but we're consolidating right there back around $75 to $76. This thing is getting ready to take off in a big way. I think $100 is a good short-term target, but this is a long-term hold for me. I'm very bullish on the whole ecosystem being done and built over on Arbitrum Network. And so with this one being the focal point of Arbitrum up to this point, I continue to focus a lot of my portfolio balance into this specific altcoin. I'm currently staking, holding for the long term, don't care what happens in the short term, because what we're looking at here is a long-term contractual pattern. We see a wave 1 impulse, we see a wave 1 of 3 impulse, and so this thing's literally just about to go parabolic. I don't really try and predict a lot of stuff when it comes down to it. I know that from a fundamental perspective, this one's going to be one of the leaders, and it is the leader on Arbitrum, so be paying attention for GMX moving forward from here. Now, next up on the list is going to be one that I haven't talked about in a while. The reason I'm talking about this is because, not that I have a position, because I don't actually own any Magic, but I did talk about this one on my YouTube channel. The first video I ever made covering Arbitrum altcoins, we were back down over here, and the market instantly started breaking out. I was looking for a lower entry. That was stupid of me to do, but you live and you learn. Now, with Magic, this is the reason why I'm talking about it today. There's so many people out there that are looking to get exposure to Arbitrum altcoins, but they're not actually willing to bridge onto Arbitrum. They're scared of all of the, loopholes that you have to go through, even though it's really not that hard. Guys, if you aren't willing to bridge to Arbitrum, you're going to miss out on a lot of profit. But if you're still too stubborn to bridge to Arbitrum, there is an alternative for you to buy. You guys can actually buy Magic on Coinbase. Now, what is Magic? Well, it's basically an NFT marketplace, also dualed into NFT gaming. Really just gaming as a whole. If you were looking at a comparison, this is pretty much Atari for Arbitrum. And so if you're looking for a gaming play over this next cycle, this one's only got $350 million in total market cap. So it's still relatively undervalued. If you believe on the gaming and metaverse niche that I believe in going into this next cycle, this is going to be the spotlight on Arbitrum. And so if you're looking for a play that you can actually buy using normal centralized exchanges, Magic is your go-to, which is why I made it 2 on the list. Now, as far as all of the coins built on Arbitrum, this one is actually right behind GMX. These are the 2 biggest ones currently, and I really do like the setup for a couple different reasons. Even though it's taken off in a big way, I still think that there's a double your money opportunity in this, at least in the short term, and we're going to talk about that right now. Now, in the short term, the way that the Elliott wave count looks, this is wave 1, this was wave 3, we finished wave 4, in my opinion, and what we're going to get ready for is another wave 5. Now, as it stands right now, I don't really see us having another resistance level until the top of this B wave, which if we come over here and make this red, that will be our resistance. Let's make it a little bit more dark. So inside of our very first cycle that we ever saw with Arbitrum, this cycle back here in 2021 to 2022, we actually saw our top leading into this big ABC decline all the way back down to the bottom of our June lows. Now, the top of this B wave is oftentimes where you're going to see a lot of new altcoins making new market cycles, and that will be the place that they rally upwards of. And so, with us already having hit some of these lower resistance levels down here, I honestly think that this next wave 5 could get overextended, and this thing could rally all the way up to the top of the B wave, which, from where we're at currently today, you would be looking at approximately 130 to 145 to 150% gains. That's a big gain, especially for something still sitting at $300+ million in market cap. Now, I'm really bullish on the whole gaming prospect heading into this next cycle. I think gaming and metaverse tokens, also paired with NFTs, they're all kind of one and the same at this point. I think that they're going to do a lot of big returns for the people that were early invested into them. And with this one being really the leader built on Arbitrum, I don't think that you should fade this, especially because of the fact you can actually buy this one on Coinbase today. So if you're looking for a little bit of Arbitrum exposure, you're too stubborn to actually bridge to Arbitrum and use any of the swapping platforms, this is your go-to for what you can buy today, and that's Magic. Now, next up on the list is another one of my favorites. I've been talking about this one a lot, currently sitting at about $60 million in total market cap. I think that this one is massively undervalued, and it shows a significant amount of accumulation. In my last video that I talked about this, I talked about how this exact bottom formation looks exactly the same as what we saw with Ethereum back in from 2019 to 2020, and so far it's only continued to follow suit. Now, one of the big reasons I think this is a good setup currently is because of the fact we're retesting our main trend line. This has been the trend line that we've been building ever since we bottomed over here after the FTX collapse taking place in November. And after that point, we've only seen higher highs and higher lows. Every time we've bounced off of this trend line, we've seen a new all-time high, or I should say a new high, technically not a new all-time high. But now that we're actually coming back down into contact with this same trend line, we're seeing a bounce. And so this is a good opportunity for anybody that hasn't had exposure into this, that's looking to buy something on the dip. In my opinion, this one's going to be right behind GMX and Magic. So far, it has been a leader up to this point. Now, RDPX is simply just the rebate token for DopeX itself. DopeX is an exchange. Once again, a decentralized exchange, a big niche that I'm focusing a decent amount of my portfolio into, and that's kind of been the focal point of what I've seen being built on Arbitrum. A lot of the best performing altcoins have been decentralized exchanges, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact so many people are looking for decentralized alternatives after the wake of what happened with all of these lenders and centralized exchanges going bankrupt. And so as it stands today, what we're seeing inside of this market is basically a retest of these range highs in here. And if I make this green, it'll be a little easier to see here. We cleared the range highs set over here at about August, and after that move, we actually ended up getting a correction back down. And so we have this significant period of resistance here, 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 here. Technically, we bounced all the way up to it right about here in October. This was resistance over here in December, was resistance again over here in January. This is where we flipped it over here in January, at the end of January, and now we're kind of retesting this as support. In my opinion, this is a major support and resistance flip above the range highs, and you could even call this all the way back up here around the all-time high of August. Now, inside of this consolidation, I think that this is going to be a really good time to buy as a whole. Because we're retesting such a major level, I do believe that the next move coming is going to be a lot more parabolic than people are expecting. From where we're at today to the resistance that I think that will most likely hit being around 100 to 120 bucks, you're looking at about another 150% gain, which seems to be the staple across Magic as well. I think RDPX is just going to continue to follow, and they're all going to continue to follow in the wake of what is happening with GMX. GMX is in price discovery. This one's going to be the leader of value driven inside of Arbitrum. This one is second behind so far based off of market cap, and this one is pretty much third. And so I think that this one is going to continue to do good. Like I stated, we've just been building off of this trend line. So the next move coming is where we distance ourselves from this trend line and we start to go more parabolic. And so I would highly advise watching out for this one. It's one that I've bet on pretty big because I do really believe that this one's going to do well over the wake of seeing, GMX, a decentralized exchange, leading the way. This one is second behind it, just simply based off of market cap. So if you're looking for one, I think that this is a good alternative to buy. Now, another one on today's list is going to be JonesDAO. This is really one of the focal points of DeFi. So if you're looking for something to earn yield off of a basket of different cryptocurrencies, JonesDAO is going to be that option to actually buy. And this one is built on Arbitrum once again. It's got a very low market cap, only sitting at sub $15 million. And I've been really talking about this one a lot because of the fact whereas DopeX or RDPX hasn't quite broken out of the range highs, it's retesting those range highs, and it's technically still on inside of the previous market structure of those range highs. This one itself has already flipped that. And that's why I think that this one is looking a little bit more bullish. This one's following closer to GMX, how GMX itself flipped the all-time highs as support, and now we're getting continuation. Jones Dow pretty much did the exact same thing. Even though these aren't the all-time highs, the range highs is what I'm basically trying to get at here. The August highs that were made back in 2022. We've been consolidating off of this level, and this one has such an obvious buy signal because of the fact we've never managed to actually break below this. And with this recent sell-off that we saw, we actually got another opportunity of getting in. And so now that we're seeing continuation, I expect that the next impulse coming is going to be a big one. I think that we're going to rally upwards of about the May highs in 2022, around $8. So current price, if we go all the way upwards of this top, once again looking at about 150%. And I think that that's going to be the case across the board on the number of these different Arbitrum altcoins. They're looking at about another 150% move. So a double your money opportunity. Even if you bought at the range highs up here, I don't think it matters because we're still going to get a big impulse. You're still going to find yourself in profit. And the fact is, guys, we've seen a nice move and a consistent move so far. This is a very consistent move all the way through. We're seeing just clear structure being broken out of resistance levels, flipping resistance levels as support. And with this one being the leader of DeFi up to this point being built on Arbitrum, I don't think that you can go wrong accumulating this at $15 million in market cap. So this is Jones Dow. Be paying attention for that. The final one on today's list is going to be Vela Exchange. This is once again decentralized exchange, and if you're looking for one that's more undervalued compared to RDPX or even compared to GMX, this is your go-to in my opinion. Currently they are still in the beta, so if you guys want to actually participate in their beta, go to their website, use their platform. Basically you need to deposit money into their liquidity pool, which is going to be indicated on their website. It'll show you all of the steps to go ahead and do that, but you're going to want to deposit a little bit of money in their liquidity pool, mint their liquidity token. Once you have that, you can stake it. It doesn't really matter how much you do. I only did $100 just to participate so I could get access to the airdrop, and then I also went and opened a long position on Dogecoin. So if you want to actually go and qualify for this airdrop, I don't know how much it's going to be. I think it could actually be a profitable airdrop considering it's still at such a low market cap. All you have to do is go and use their platform, which if you go to the Dex Tools link, I'll link it in the description. I'll link their main website so you can find it. You guys can actually follow through. It's really easy. It's not hard. All you have to do is open a trade just in the same way that you would open a trade on any exchange. You can even market buy just to make things simple, but then also it'll tell you how to go through the steps to actually deposit money into their liquidity pool, earn their liquidity token, and then stake that liquidity token. It's all right there on their website. But I'm talking about this one today because we originally gave the signal for this inside of this YouTube channel. It was around over here, and we're currently up about, about double. If you would have bought based off of my YouTube video, you'd be up about double so far, and I still think that this one's going to run in a big way. Very clear Elliott waves growing up this point, and we can see that as indicated down here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We saw another impulse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're continuing to see further impulsing as it stands right now. And so I don't know the exact Elliott wave count. Based off of this, it looks like we could either have finished wave 1, wave 3, and we're working on wave 5, or I think that we could also be inside of just a bigger wave 1. Wave 1 of 3, I should say. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This could just be wave 1 of 3, and we're going to get ready for another wave 3 impulse. If that's the case, this thing can run a lot higher than people are going to be expecting. Based off of how their UI works, when I went over there and used their platform, it's probably the very best decentralized exchange platform up to this point. I've used GMX, and I'll be completely honest with you guys, don't use GMX. The exchange really itself has really high fees, but then it was also confusing for me to move money around. It was a lot more confusing than what I did over here at Vela. And that's why I think that this one is a really good play right now. Yes, the market cap is sitting at about 32 million, which is very low in comparison. If you're looking at RDPX, this one's sitting at about double that at 60 million. If you're looking at GMX, this one's about 10 times greater than that, sitting at about 600 to 700 million. So if you're looking for a safe pick, GMX is the one. If you're looking for one that you can buy on a centralized exchange, Magic is the one. It's not a decentralized exchange, although it is an NFT marketplace. This is more built for gaming. And if you're looking for one that's kind of in between GMX, this one is a good one at $60 million in total market cap. Very clear Elliott waves, very clear accumulation taking place. Jones DAO is the DeFi pick that I think is going to be the top one going into this next cycle. And Vela is going to be, in my opinion, the very best decentralized exchange. It might not get the most market cap. It might not perform the best in comparison with GMX as how well it's doing. But based off of the fact it's only sitting at $30 million in total market cap, based off of the way the platform works, even though it is in the beta, keep in mind, I did go in their Twitter, or their Discord, and inside of their Discord, there was a lot of people having little issues. Even when I used it, the charts wouldn't load because it was just, a lot of traffic, most likely. Also, with it being in the beta, it's not even fully released yet, which is why if you go and use their beta platform, go and swap on it, specifically open some long or short positions, deposit into their liquidity pool and stake the liquidity token, you guys are going to get access to an airdrop that is coming down the line, which makes me feel like once the airdrop goes live, there's always a ton of hype that comes into certain cryptos. I think that this thing could really explode in a big way, especially with the Elliott wave count showing, that this thing is in the very early stages. I honestly think that this one could be a leader, if not the leader of decentralized exchanges. Although I believe that GMX will be the spotlight, this one could very easily be second behind. And so far, our DPX is second in behind based off of the decentralized exchange narrative. And I think all of these are going to be solid picks. I've not really used Dopex's exchange up to this point, although it does work well. I have seen other people that have made threads about it. But as far as me using GMX and me using Vela, Vela is a phenomenal exchange. I really think that this one has the opportunity of going, 10x minimum. But if we're talking about decentralized exchanges over the course of a full cycle, I think that these ones are easy 100x opportunities. Now, I wouldn't say easy as far as I can guarantee they're going to do 100x, but if we're sitting at $30 million in total market cap, a 10x is $330 million in market cap. 100x is going to be $3.3 billion in total market cap. I don't know if you guys understand, but for the sake of this video, I don't think I have it pulled up over here. No, I don't. Let's go over and take a look at coin market cap, because this is a really good way to at least speculate on what these market caps could be. If you come over here to cryptocurrencies and you go down to historical snapshots, if we go back to the very top of our last cycle, back in 2021, I believe it was November. Let's go to November, I don't know, let's go to the 14th of November and see what the heck everything was at. So this was when Bitcoin was sitting at $65,000. It was, right before it hit $69,000. So this was basically the top of our last bull run. If we look at the market cap of a lot of these cryptos, if we go down to about $3.3 billion, we're all the way down here at around 55 rank on total market cap. So obviously, if there's a crypto that is getting a lot of adoption, the ability to be able to long, short, trade futures, trade perpetual swaps, all of that stuff, in my opinion, it could very easily hit, $3.3 billion, which from here would be 100x. Now, GMX itself, you're most likely not going to see 100x. I know I did talk about the potential of that, but with this already sitting at close to $1 billion in total market cap, the likelihood of that happening is simply just small. I mean, for us to go from $1 billion to $10 billion would give you a 10x. We'd have to be sitting at over $100 billion in total market cap. And while I do very much think that that's a possibility for us, I think that the likelihood of that happening is continuously getting smaller and smaller. Because if we look at what our top altcoins were, Binance was sitting at $100 billion in total market cap, and then Tether wasn't even sitting at that high. Solana wasn't even sitting at that high. Keep in mind that, this one was at a little higher of a market cap. This one was probably pretty close to that $100 billion valuation. And so there is a definite possibility of this happening, especially in the fact of understanding that there's going to be way more money coming into this cycle. If Bitcoin's sitting at maybe, $5 to $7 trillion, maybe even $10 trillion in total market cap heading into this next cycle, you're looking at Ethereum sitting at around, $1 to $1.5 trillion, maybe even more than that, could be sitting at 3 plus. A lot of these altcoins are going to be at very high valuations. And with this one being decentralized exchanges, these above all else, in my opinion, have a real opportunity of getting a lot of market cap, because there's going to be a lot of people looking to trade them. People are going to be scared and shaken out based off of the centralized exchange narrative. And so I think that now is a great opportunity to be studying in on what are the new DEXs being launched on Arbitrum. And up to this point, the best ones so far are GMX, Dopex, this is the rebate token, which is what I'm invested in and telling you guys is probably the best buy, which is RDPX, and then Vela. Those are the three that I see being, you know, some of the spotlight heading into this next cycle, and I think that you guys should definitely check them out. So anyways, guys, if you found value in this, if you guys want to be able to follow these altcoins, I was talking about RDPX, I was talking about Vela all the way down here. I've been talking about a lot of these altcoins way earlier than where we're at today. If you want to be able to see when I'm buying these, when I'm selling these, what I'm moving money into, and all of that fun stuff, links are in the description to go ahead and sign up for my signals. I appreciate the support so much, and I look forward to seeing you guys in there. I know how much profit we're going to make over the course of this next cycle, and if you guys want to know exactly what I'm doing with my portfolio, now is the best time possible to be able to get access to that. So links are in the description. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and with that being said, I will catch you in the next one. As always, peace out.